These are the most chaotic hands in EPT history. In this video, you're about to see Daniel Negreanu get crushed on the biggest stage, a player going from having only one big blind left to becoming a champion, and a poker player losing with quads. Yeah, quads. And make sure to stick around till the end, because we've saved the craziest hand for last. So strap in, and let's get right into the action. We kick things off with one of the most dramatic final table battles in the history of the European Poker Tour. We're at the 2013 Monte Carlo EPT main event, and with only 4 players remaining, Daniel Negreanu is trying to lock in the championship title. He opens the action with pocket queens, and the Norwegian pro Johnny Loden goes for an aggressive 3-bet. Loden is the short stack, so if he wants to stand a chance against the likes of Negreanu, he has to go on the offensive as quickly as possible. The action is back on Daniel, and he's not playing around. He moves all in, putting massive pressure on Loden. Loden should know he's beat at this point, but having committed so many chips in the middle already, he decides to roll the dice.
You get it back to back?
Yes. If Daniel's hand holds, it will guarantee the best EPT finish for each of these two guys. Johnny finished 8th in Budapest in 2008.
Picking up some hands.
No kidding.
Picking up some ladies.
So Loden the player at risk and way behind. All spades on the flop, and it does give Loden a gut shot.
No spades, at least.
Wow, Johnny managed to gain equity after the flop. That is not easy to do.
2 spades, I'm happy.
Take a split, chop it up.
Daniel'd rather see 2 spades than a 9 or a 10.
It's a 9, the miracle card for Loden.
Now, I need a 10 or a queen.
Daniel not dead yet.
It's mixing.
Both these guys severely underreacting in such a huge pot.
The river card. Here's an ace.
After that bad beat, Negreanu never fully recovered, and a couple of hands later, he gets eliminated after losing a brutal coin flip. That was a dramatic way to go, but it's nothing compared to what happened in the final hand of the event. Now, we're down to the final heads-up match between Andrew Pantling and Steve O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer has a massive 2-1 chip lead against his opponent, and he's looking to end the match as quickly as possible. He attacks with 10-8 offsuit, and Pantling looks down at King-5 suited. This is a great 3-bet bluffing hand, especially in a heads-up match, but Andrew just goes for a flat call. And boy, is he gonna regret this decision soon. We get an insane action flop, and both players have something to play for. Pantling quickly checks, looking to put in a massive check raise against his opponent's bet. O'Dwyer goes for a C-bet, looking to get paid off immediately by a lot of drawing hands and maybe some Jack-X hands. But Pantling doesn't go for a check raise, and just calls again, looking to hit a lucky turn card. And he actually gets there. With another spade on the turn, Andrew now has the best hand, and he checks for the second time, setting up the trap. O'Dwyer goes for a double barrel, and Pantling finally puts in that check raise. The room falls completely quiet. Only the rattling of chips breaks the silence. Everyone knows that this could be the deciding hand. And sure enough, O'Dwyer moves all in. And if you thought this hand was crazy so far, just wait till you see the river.
It is a flush, and Pantling will double up unless there is a Jack 10, 8 or 4 on the river. 10 outs for O'Dwyer, which would see him win the title, but there's a 77% chance that Pantling doubles up and we play on. It's an 8 on the river! It's quads for O'Dwyer that see him triumph here in Monaco and win the EPT 9 Grand Final main event!
That was an absolutely brutal river card for Andrew Pantling, but sometimes in poker, the cards just don't go your way. Now, one of the most incredible tournament comebacks in poker history. We're at the 2022 Barcelona EPT main event, where an Italian player, Giuliano Bendinelli, came back from the dead to clutch his place at the final table. At one point, Giuliano was down to just a single big blind, but as the saying goes, all you need is a chip and a chair. The only obstacle between him and the championship title is Jimmy Guerrero. 2 players left, 2 very different forces at the table. Jimmy is loud, brash, using his bravado to get under his opponent's skin. Whether it's just an act or the real deal, you can't argue about its effectiveness. With his aggressive playstyle, he bulldozed his way to the final table and is now looking to lock in the title. Then there's Giuliano, calm, composed, and utterly unimpressed with Jimmy's antics. Giuliano limps into the pot with queen 9, and Jimmy decides to see a free flop with jack 4 suited. Giuliano flops a pair and a flush draw, a great flop for a heads-up match. He leads out, but Guerrero hits him right back with a massive check raise. With such a strong draw, Bendinelli has no choice but to call. The turn is a 10. No help for either player, but potentially a great card for Guerrero to keep bluffing with. And this is exactly what he does, putting massive pressure on Giuliano's draw. With time pressure mounting up, he makes a reluctant call. The river is a queen, and now Guerrero has only one choice if he wants to win this hand. He has to commit to his story.
With the jack to go for it, Bendinelli now playing queens and 9s on the river.
I don't like the looks of this.
Might be a card that Guerrero wants to represent. A card that perhaps, wow.
Oh, man.
All in.
Bendinelli calls it's over.
Oh my goodness.
No time banks.
Wow.
Top pair. Heads up. We'll still have chips left if he calls and he's wrong.
He had that one chip in his hand, the almost one chip call. Wow.
Wow, he's got no more time bank though, you guys.
This is for the title.
I don't think without time banks you can properly think through the action. The time does stop when you get a count though.
We saw a dramatic call to end the day yesterday. A bluff picked off by ace high. This is better than that.
First step is don't get snap called when you go all in. Second step is
Let the time run out.
exactly.
I think he, if I'm not mistaken, I think he only needs to have the best hand like 1 in 4 times to be right here. No.
Bendinelli is out of time. That's a fold. Doesn't matter what the cards are.
Oh no.
In the end, Jimmy's bluff does work, and of course he can't resist sharing it with everybody. The crowd erupts in cheers, and Jimmy is ecstatic. Maybe a bit too ecstatic, if you ask me. A great play from Jimmy for sure, but you don't go around showboating like that if you don't want to incur the wrath of the poker gods, especially when your opponent still has chips in front of them. A few hands later, Giuliano gets a chance for revenge as he looks down at pocket 8s on the button. He goes for an open raise, and Guerrero defends with jack 7 suited. The flop is jack 9-8, and Bendinelli flops the mighty set. And better yet, Guerrero flops top pair with a straight redraw, and you just know it's just a matter of time before the chips start flying. Giuliano wastes no time building up the pot, knowing Guerrero can already call with a lot of weaker hands. And sure enough, Jimmy makes the call. We're already gearing up for a massive pot here, but then the turn card seals the deal. Another jack, and the crowd goes absolutely crazy. They know this could be the card that decides it all. Jimmy is preparing for another victory dance, and Giuliano goes for another bet. Jimmy calls again, thinking he's setting up a trap. And just when you think the board can't get any more action heavy, the river hits. An 8. Jimmy gets a full house, and Giuliano improves to quads. Now, the crowd completely loses it, as everyone knows this is going to be the deciding hand.
Nelly!
Wow.
This is unbelievable. This is the coldest of decks. It doesn't get any colder than this, Maria.
I'm glad you got a sweatshirt for this hand, Nick.
Insane ending, I assume,
Oh my
to
goodness.
the most insane EPT I have ever been a part of. A literal bad beat jackpot hand. Jack's full, beaten by quad 8s. Guerrero bets.
Wow.
Oh.
And Guerrero leading. Oh my gosh.
Put yourself in his shoes. He's got quads and you're getting led into on this river. It's the absolute jackpot payday.
How is Bendinelli's heart just not jumping out of his skin right now. Gosh.
Bandinelli has been so patient, has folded winners. Had a chance to put this to bed. Announces all in. Guerrero hasn't snap called. There's just no way. There's the call from Guerrero. It's over.
He hasn't even tabled his hand. Table your hand.
Bandinelli shows the quad.
Getting beaten by quads sucks, but I can't feel too bad for Guerrero here. At the end of the day, he secured the bag and walked away with over €1 million for his runner-up finish, But in this next hand, you're about to see a lot more tragic quads elimination. This next hand has got to be one of the worst coolers you'll ever see in high-stakes tournaments. We're at the 2015 EPT main event in Prague, and the Finnish pro, Jorma Nuutinen, opens the action with pocket fours. Jake Cody looks down at pocket queens in the cutoff and goes for a standard 3-bet. Action folds back to Nuutinen, and he should seriously consider making a fold right away here, as his pocket fours are likely to be dominated by a lot of stronger pocket pairs. But this time, he decides to set mine, which will prove to be a disastrous mistake. We go heads up to the flop, and Cody flops quads. Talk about a dream flop. The only problem here is it's usually very hard to get paid off when you flop such a monster hand. But Cody still goes for a c-bet, which is probably a mistake. I mean, what exactly does he expect to get called with? But Nuutinen makes the call anyway, still looking for that lucky 4. No help on the turn, and Jorma checks again. Jake goes for a double barrel, again giving his opponent the opportunity to avert a disaster. But for some reason, Jorma can't seem to walk away from this one. And then a disaster hit. A 4 of spades on the river. And Nuutinen boats up. Now, you just know the chips will start flying.
What a horrible spot for the Finn. The one card he thought he wanted to see is the one card he so did not want to see.
This is going to be a shame.
17.5.
Cody bets for value, 17,500.
Not sure if Nuutinen is Hollywooding, but he better enjoy the camera time while he can.
I'm all in.
He shoves. You've got quads, Jay.
I call.
This is happening way too slowly for a guy with quads. Come on, Jake.
Nice river.
That was a terrible run out, and it just goes to show how cruel poker can be in times. But if you think that that was brutal, just wait till you see the next one. You're about to see what happens when a dream flop turns into a nightmare. Our next hand comes from the 2014 EP, where Jan Pinot gets what seems to be a dream flop. With a nut flush on the flop, what could possibly go wrong? Sebastian Pauli goes for the c-bet with his bottom pair, and Pinot flat calls, allowing his opponent to do the work for him. Pauli is drawing almost completely dead on the flop, but then the turn hits. A 7 of clubs, and Pauli improves to trips. He goes for a double barrel, and Pinot calls again. He still has the best hand, but with that paired board, it's nowhere close to the nuts. And just when you think that the run out can't get any crazier, the river comes. Another 7. Now Pauli has the nuts, and he can certainly go for a triple barrel. But instead, he goes for a much riskier line. And somehow, against all odds, Jan makes a hero fold. He really dodged a bullet there, and it really shows that discipline plays a huge part when it comes to winning poker. Sometimes you just have to let it go. And our next player learned this lesson the hard way. Next up, you're about to see one of the worst calls in the history of EPT, and maybe even high-stakes poker in general. It was so bad, the player didn't even want to show his hand at the end. So we're at the 2014 European Poker Tour in Barcelona, and Niall Farrell opens the action with ace-jack offsuit on the button, and he gets 2 callers. A standard flop so far, but wait till you see the flop. Lamprecht flops top set, an absolute monster hand. The only problem is, it can be challenging to get action from a lot of weaker hands here. He quickly checks, hoping his opponents will do the betting for him. And for some weird reason, Price actually does lead out with no hand at all. A questionable play to say the least, but not the worst you'll see in this hand. Farrell makes the call, holding nothing but 2 overcards. Lamprecht is loving the action though, and he goes for a check raise. I'm not really a fan of this line, as continuing to slow play would arguably be a better option here. Price does lay it down, and the action is back on Farrell. Any player in their right mind would make a laydown here, but just watch what Farrell does instead. The turn is an 8 of hearts, no help for either player. With only about half a pot bet left behind, Lamprecht jams the rest of his stack in the middle. And alright, now Farrell has to fold, right? He wasted some chips on the flop there, but it's not the end of the world. Just fold the hand and cut your losses. But nope, he still makes the call with ace high. Farrell's call was tragic, but in the end, he has nobody to blame for himself. But the next can't be said for our next player. So, what happens when you turn a full house and you still end up losing the hand in a spectacular fashion? Let's find out. We've seen some ice-cold coolers so far, but this one definitely takes the cake. We have another hand from the Barcelona EPT, where Patrick Antonius and Robin Yelitalo face off in an epic Nordic clash. Yelitalo opens the action with ace-jack on the button, and Antonius defends his big blind with ace-7 suited. Nothing crazy so far, but then the flop comes. Ace-jack-7, and both players hit 2 pair. Robin makes the standard c-bet, and Patrick is loving the action here, but little does he know, he's already drawing almost completely dead. He makes the call, thinking he's trapping his opponent, but in reality, he's the one that's moments away from disaster. And just when you think it can't get worse for Patrick, the turn hits. Another ace. With both players boated up, there's only one way this hand can end, right? Yelitalo goes for a double barrel, and Patrick flat calls again. This reminds me of another of his epic hands where he slow played his full house, completely destroying Tony G in the process. But clearly it's not going to work this time around. As expected, Patrick goes for a check raise jam, and his opponent snap calls.
Like 75, 80K, and then he makes it 250, and then there's still another 150 behind.
I mean, the money should go in. Rubinho now deciding whether he wants to target a jack or just go polar now. He's just going to employ a subtle... No, he's going
78 or 83.
But Patrick now will decide whether to jam or to just put in a smaller raise. To me, jam would make sense, but we shall see. We shall see. Patrick, this is probably a genuine... Yeah, there you go. There you go.
All in and a call, and Patrick Antonius gets cooled.
What a hand, what a hand.
An absolutely insane action, but this wasn't even close to the craziest hand of the tournament. We'll wrap it up with one of the most memorable final tables in EPT history. We're at the 2023 EPT main event in Barcelona, where players are competing for a top prize of more than €1 million. With only 9 players remaining in the event, each elimination comes with a significant bump in the payout. Among the remaining players is the Brazilian pro João Henrique Sidenstricker Oliveira. This guy didn't rob a bank, but he certainly stole the show. With only 11 big blinds remaining, he has to pull off a major chip heist if he wants to stay in the game. He's dealt King-Jack of diamonds, and with the blinds going up in the very next hand, he's on the very edge of busting out of the tournament. He has to make a stand, and fast. But instead of jamming, he goes for the open raise, not committing his whole stack right away. Santiago Plante looks down at pocket kings and goes for a 3-bet. Action folds back around to Sidenstricker here, and calling would basically put him all in, so he finally jams. Of course, Plante snaps him off right away. And then it happens, one of the most chaotic board runouts in EPT history.
No, in that instance. Yeah, and the man looking for a diamond heist here.
Yes, looks like the Salvador Dali mask is going on. He's going full money heist.
Santoi har massa marker och kungar. Santoi, han har massa marker.
He's going full Salvador Dali.
He's going to need some paint.
Wow, we've got a street flash board.
Wow.
We have a post-flop flip on our hands. Sidenstricker now racing for his tournament life.
It's a big old brick.
Needs a diamond or a queen for the straight. It's the queen!
He's done it! He's done it!
He steals that pot. Money heist successful.
Look at that, the money heist indeed.
After that epic comeback, Joao went on to win the second place in the tournament, winning over €1 million in the process. An impressive feat for sure, but Joao was no stranger to high-stakes tournaments either. But the same can't be said for this kid, Mike McDonald, who in 2008 walked into one of the biggest EPT tournaments and took down the title in the most spectacular way at only 18 years old. So, if you want to know how an unknown Canadian teenager managed to outplay the pros at their own game, make sure to watch this video next. We'll see you there.